Welcome to the Lust for Life podcast, where Jake and I talk about our weeks and reflections and discussions that we've had. And this week was another good week. Some unique things that happened was Lucy. She's right here. We made Lucy's Christmas cards, huh? For her Instagram followers. So we designed the Christmas cards, and then on our Instagram, we put it out, if anyone wants a Christmas card, put your address in, and we'll send you a Christmas card. And there's actually quite a few, and they're all over the world. We got a couple one last week from Brazil. And we get them from the UK, Brazil, where other places have we gotten them from?
We'll send some to the UK, Brazil, Germany, Argentina, Mexico, and then all over the US.
It's so unique. It's such a unique community, and it's really a pretty small community, and everyone really supports each other, and actually will plan trips to visit each other.
There was an 8 Scottish Terrier meetup in Oklahoma the other week. Yeah, people literally plan vacations to go stay at these people's homes and let their Scotties play for 3 days, and they just it's toddler play dates. But the saddest thing ever happened in the Scottie community this week. There was a Scottish Terrier named Coco from Mexico, and
Coquito.
And he was doing fine at the beginning of the month, and this all happened within 3 weeks. He all of a sudden just wasn't feeling the best, and then next thing you know, he started having these crazy seizures. They went to the doc. He has this massive tumor in his brain. So then this dog had brain surgery. So they cut his skull open and removed this meningioma. And then Coco went home and was doing great for a few days. And then all of a sudden just started just not doing so good. Had to go back to the vet. Ended up getting admitted to the pet hospital. Was there for a few days. The pathology.
They were waiting for the pathology results.
Yeah, it came back. It said it was grade 4.
Malignant.
And he just was struggling, so then he had to be put down, and it was the saddest thing.
It was pretty sad.
I can't remember the last time I cried, but I was in tears for about 10 minutes when Coco
Jake and
died.
I were both in tears.
Everyone in the Scottish community was heartbroken. It was
just
so
hard
sad
to watch.
And then, but it was cool too because we were all able to support his mom, which. I couldn't imagine.
So hard. And I think it hit a little different, too, because, Lucy's almost 11 in February. And so we know she's getting older, and it's just really hard to think about.
But Lucy's vet, did we tell him about Lucy's vet visit?
I think we did. Clean bill of health.
She's doing great. The vet was stoked at how healthy Lucy was. Yeah. So that was happy to hear.
We probably talked about it in the last one, but she was, kind of shocked that Lucy is this old and looks this good, and her blood work is perfect, which she's that never happens. And also, the vet was her teeth are so good. What do you guys do? And I'm we don't brush her teeth. And she just licks the floor. So I don't know if there's magic dust and that just
She does take creatine. She'll lick up my protein. I sometimes purposely spill protein powder on the floor for her to lick up.
That's probably not good for her.
And it has creatine in it. But look at how healthy she is.
But yeah, she's doing really good. But yeah, Coquito, that was really hard to watch. But it's just really interesting, the Scottish Terrier community. It's kind of wild how tight everybody is. And everybody knows everything about everybody. And everyone, supports each other. And you look at one of Lucy's posts on Instagram, and it's the comments are Lily the Scottie, the McCallum report, they're all Scotties, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that happened this week. I'm trying to think.
I got a tech deck this week. I've been asking Tennessee for one since before we were married and never got one, so I just bought one myself.
Four.
I mean, it only came in a 4-pack, but I'm been so happy.
Yeah, it's his little fidget toy.
He is
playing with it as we are talking.
I landed a sick tray flip off my textbook the other day, but
Jake is very happy with his tech decks. We also watched Cruella. That's my favorite movie right now. I think it's just the ultimate revenge, and I just really like Cruella in the Cruella movie. And then we watched 101 Dalmatians after.
The like cartoon one.
The cartoon one.
Forever ago.
And it's like, it honestly was so good. Like, the simplicity of the cartoon, like, I'm like, if they made those today, like the old style, I actually feel like they do really good. It's just so simple, and I really like that.
Yeah, not a bad movie.
But Cruella in that movie was a little vicious. So, I mean, I like Cruella in the Cruella movie. But we went on a bike ride today. That was our big first bike ride back from the Ironman. We did like a 20-miler a couple weeks ago, and we were just so tired after that, and I needed to rest my IT band. And so today we did a 60-miler, and for some reason we just thought we didn't really need to eat anything. And so we both maybe ate like 200 calories worth of stuff.
Yeah, and we burnt well over 2,000.
Yeah, it was... We set ourselves up for failure on that one.
There's a Jocko Fuel commercial where... I don't know why I thought this was so funny.
It's like a protein shake.
Where Jocko comes running in. He's like, we had an emergency. My boy Pratt started going catabolic.
Chris Pratt.
And so he's like, good thing I got this Jocko Fuel. But for some reason, that like he started going catabolic. I thought that was the funniest thing until today I started going catabolic. Because we didn't eat at all. My legs hurt so bad after that ride. Like, I've never had them hurt that bad before after a ride. Which is crazy, because before Panama, we did that same route. Did it a whole mile an hour faster.
We did a whole mile an hour.
And then I went out and ran 13 miles after at like a 9-minute mile pace, a little faster. But today, I couldn't even move after. My legs hurt so bad.
There was, I mean, this is kind of like... This is an excuse. There was a pretty big headwind,
yeah, it was
too.
Massive.
And Jake, we took his aero bars off his road bike because I don't know why we did that. But so he didn't even have his aero bars. And so he's just this, kite in the wind. It was a pretty good headwind, so we had to fight pretty good through it. But
it felt good to get back out and do a big ride again.
It was fun to just kind of be out on the bike again. My neck is not used to it, though. Like, the nerves in my neck kind of hurt.
Which is crazy, because we only took, like, 3 weeks
I know.
off. I did a few trainer rides, but, like, 3 weeks, and it wrecked us.
Yeah, but it was super fun.
Shows why consistency is key.
Yep. It's true. We put Jake's bike in the bike shop this week, and... They said there's a couple cracks in the frame.
I'm calling cracks.
But we're still riding it. Because we looked at the spots, and they don't look too bad. Like, it's not really even cracked. I think it's more the paint is chipped off.
And I think it happened when I crashed in, like...
It 100% happened
ago.
When you crashed.
And so we put, like, 3,000 miles on it since that.
Yeah,
and so I'm like,
it's not a
working
recent thing.
Fine.
It's not like a stress... Like, it's not like a crack, like, down the frame. It's, like, literally... It's like a... circle, like it's not like it's
scraped it.
Yeah, like it looks like a rock could have scraped it too. But anyway, so we're rocking that. But oh my gosh, before we took it into the shop, it was honestly like, it's kind of when you're on a motorcycle, the least loud part of a motorcycle is where you are sitting on it, and everyone else around you, it's so loud. That's how Jake's bike was. The chain was so loud and so squeaky and kind of like not pretty to listen to. And Jake was always like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, Jake, you're not the one riding right next to the bike. We need to get this fixed. And then we decided to do it after Panama. And today was his first ride out on it. And it was silent. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so peaceful. Like, I genuinely was like, this is so peaceful.
It was so weird. I didn't know I had a problem until they changed it. I'm like, wow, I had a problem.
Like, when I would ride with you, I couldn't even hear my bike because I was just hearing your bike. And then now I'm like, oh my gosh, I can hear my own bike, like, chatter today. It's just kind of funny. But yeah, the bike's doing good. But some, like, kind of the topic, some takeaways and discussions we had this week. We need to do better at writing them down because we have so many for so long, and then I need to write them down to remember to talk about them on the podcast. But some that I could recall was a book I read this week, and I read the entire thing, and it was 20 plus hours on Audible, but it's the Elon Musk book. I know it's like very controversial politically, and a lot of people are not a big fan. But regardless of Elon's personable character, like, I just can't help but just admire where he came from, like where he grew up in Africa, abused, and he was just this genius who totally used his skills to build up these companies, and just his work ethic is just unreal. Like, his determination to succeed is unreal, and like his willingness to take risks because he wants his goals so bad. And it like made me so excited. Like, it made me want to work hard just listening to the books. I'm like, oh my gosh, when you surround yourself with people that work hard, makes you want to work hard. And I had a really great time listening to the book. And it was really cool that he allowed that book to be published, because there was some definitely dark times in Elon's life. And it shows that he's pretty humble to allow those things to be published about him. And he just embraces his past, kind of, and just embraces that his past brought him to where he is, meaning he's humble enough to get this published. It's just a really, really good book. And some other takeaways that I just thought of was a clip that I saw him in an interview with. It was on Instagram, and it was really cool to hear this from him. The richest man on earth has this response, and I think the interviewer asked something like, "Are you happy because you're the richest man on earth?" And he was like, "Well, I'm like half happy." And when he answers questions, it's really cool. He sits there and thinks about the question, and then he answers it very slowly and really thinks about how he answers things. So it's a really honest answer. But when the interviewer asked, "Are you happy?" he sat there for a while and was like, "Well, I think I'm half happy. I don't think anyone can be fully happy without a loving relationship or someone to love or be surrounded by people you love." And during this interview, he's not married. He doesn't spend a ton of time with family because he's always running the business. And he said, "My business is doing really well right now," which I think that can fulfill somebody halfway. No matter how good your business is, a good business cannot give you 100% happiness. And he says the other half of happiness is having somebody to truly love and not be alone, and just the relationships, I thought that was a really, really cool answer.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool also. And I mean, if you think about, just half, I'm in school right now, so think about grades a lot. Half, 50%, that's still failing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, so even if you are doing so well, have all the money in the world, but don't have anyone to love,
what's the point?
Yeah.
It was just very powerful that he is interviewing the richest man in the world, and he is saying money can't bring you full happiness, which that's just really powerful to hear that from him. And his interviews are really interesting to watch. The ones that I've seen, he gives really, really honest answers. And I think that he's matured a lot the last few years. He's come a long way, and he actually says some really insightful things about relationships. Another thing that he talked about in one of his videos that I thought was really cool was, what did he say? It was something like, you want to get to really know somebody, the one thing that you can do is look at who their friends are. Who do they surround themselves with? That's who that person is, because you surround yourself with the types of people you want to be around. You want to be like. Do they push you? Do they hinder you? And it's really, really true. And so it made me think about, okay, if someone were to look at me and who I hang around, would that change their thought about me? So it kind of puts things into perspective. Just has you really value relationships and who you hang out with. But really quick, Lucy's snoring. We're going to catch it on the mic. She just
stopped. It was
she
so
just got
loud.
She just stopped. Did she wake up? We'll have to try it again. She's just sleeping right next to us. She jumped on the couch with us. She is a really loud snorer. But yeah, do you have any thoughts about that video?
No, I thought you explained it perfectly. I did think it was funny that he's paid the most taxes in the history of the United States, and he's like, could they
$10 billion, right? Was that what it was?
I thought you said 11.
10
but he's
11?
like, they couldn't give me a trophy.
Yeah, that was a funny interview when he was like, the least they could have done is give me a trophy.
No, I think you all said it good. It really like shows the importance of relationships in life, and that life is not about money at all.
I mean, money probably helps in certain circumstances and takes stress out of a lot of things. But to reach 100% happiness and 100% success in all balances of life, money is just a very small portion. And probably the easiest to achieve, honestly. Like, relationships take work, and they're really hard. But yeah, that was pretty much everything. Oh, one more thing I wanted to talk about. So a couple weeks ago, we were having a conversation. Jake and I were having this conversation about church, and it was more me than him. I was just kind of bouncing some ideas off of him. One second, Lucy's snoring. That's her snoring. It's really cute. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, Jake and I were having this conversation, and I kind of brought it up, and I was like, it's interesting that our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is very quiet in our Sunday meetings. It's very quiet, and it's, how would you explain it?
It's very, like, I wouldn't...
Reverent?
Yeah. I was going to say traditional, but I know some traditional things not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one speaker at a time. There's no clapping, really.
No clapping.
The songs are played on a piano.
And the songs are kind of like...
Slow. A little more traditional.
Hymns.
Older hymns.
Yeah. Yeah, traditionally kind of older. And it, like, the other week I was like, Jake, that's really interesting that that's how our church chooses to worship, because you would think that, like...
Yeah, you brought up, like, a PowerPoint.
Yeah, I was like, come on, we gotta have PowerPoints, we gotta have visuals, we gotta, like, entertain these people. Like, people are coming to church, let's get something out of it. And I'm like, I feel like sometimes we go to church and it's kind of like, bleh. Like, not... that sounds worse than it really is. But, like, I just sometimes am like, I really like the high energy speakers, and I kind of get drawn to that. And I think that's maybe a fault of mine, because I'll explain it in a minute. So that was kind of my thought. I was bouncing off to Jake. I was like, wouldn't it be, like, more impactful for people to come to church and kind of have that high energy and sing those upbeat songs and have PowerPoints and visuals and all sorts of things and be interactive? And our church is, like we said, kind of the one speaker at a time, very, like, reverent. And that's how, yeah. So we talked about that. And then this last week, in one of our second hour classes, somebody raised their hand and commented and said how much they appreciate the reverence that our church does during our sacrament meetings, our Sunday meetings, because she is a convert to this church. And she said at first, when she converted to the church, it was very weird for her and kind of awkward for her for it to be so quiet in the chapel during these meetings.
So she was from one of those, like, mega churches, bands.
I don't know if it was maybe mega
say?
Church, but, like, it was just a very high energy. I'm not quite sure what she said. And then she was like, I actually learned to really, really appreciate the reverence, because it allows for your own interpretation. It allows you to get out of the meeting what you want to get out of. And it kind of takes it into your hands, and it's kind of quiet and self-reflective, which I think is really interesting. And so it really changed my perspective about all that, and kind of my opinion. I mean, I wasn't mad that's how our church does it, but I was like, I was telling Jake just how I think it's interesting, and maybe it would be helpful to have a little more energy, which I think there's a time and a place and there's a balance. But it was really cool to see that girl's perspective, and I'm really grateful she commented, because it was kind of like bothering me a little bit, but it was really cool to hear that girl's perspective. And I guess it's a good lesson to learn, like, I only have one perspective, and I need to keep my mind open and maybe just ask for other people's perspective of why things are the way they are, and it could be really insightful.
Yeah, like one of the leaders in our church once said, in full honesty, I've never been to a church meeting that was boring. Because he's like, I learned something from every single speaker. Yeah. Because like you said, it's not, it just gives an opportunity for you to be able to receive that own personal revelation, for you to be able to self-reflect, since it's so like quiet, the Spirit is there, and yeah, you could take some away from what they say, or you can listen, think about what they say, try to apply it, but you go to church to be like active and not passive.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe why our church does that, to allow that choice and allow us to choose to be active. But yeah, that was our week. Kind of short and sweet this week. This next one is Thanksgiving. Jake's parents are coming into town, so that'll be really fun.
We're going to the UNC game. It's going to be awesome.
The UNC game, it's going to be super fun. It won't be too cold, so that will be nice. It's at 3 o'clock, you said?
3:30.
3:30, so it will be during the day, some of it, and then it will end at night, but it will be super fun. But yeah, we publish these every week on Tuesday, and thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next